especially since the video can be recording.
our best. I did get to see your name on the AP results. Yeah, AP, AR results. So, thank you.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. This time, I'd like to welcome our new superintendent, Christina Basin, to her first board meeting. I have a couple announcements to make. The first announcement is for anybody that hasn't seen it, a group called Lowe's Heroes out of our local Lowe's store did landscaping work out at Royal Sauk Valley and did a beautiful job. And I'd like to say a special thanks to the team members, Bill Campbell, Dee Dee Lynn, Tara Manhart, Andrew Sander, Scott Kreiser, Jamie Kelly, Ryan Hoover, Aaron Jumper, Linda Williams, Sarah Winters, and Pat Snedeker, and Renee Workmeister. They did a beautiful job out there. The next announcement I'd like to make is there's a couple statements where people said that I was threatened by Mr. Tom McNamara. This time I would like to set the record straight that I never felt threatened, never was threatened or felt threatened by Mr. McNamara. I indicated after our telephone conversation that we had by email that I did feel threatened. I felt a form of blackmail, but at no time was I ever threatened by Mr. McNamara. Now we move on. Any other awards, presentations, or recognitions from anybody?
No, Mr. Snell, I don't have an award. What I have is I have a number in front of me here, $328,889. So if you see that number and you want to know what that is, that represents the cost of the suspension of this project to date, and that number continues to increase. And I added into that number, for those of you that may not be aware, $42,000, which was money also down the drain into lawsuits against the district that were led by Mr. Snell. So if you want to know what that number is, that's what that represents. Brandy will give us an updated figure later. And Mr. Snell, I don't like to start a meeting like this, but you give me no choice, because if I bring this up at the end of the meeting, you or Mr. McCleary will make a motion to adjourn, and then it doesn't get out. But at the last meeting, Mr. Snell, you made an absolutely false statement, and you attributed it to me, and it was absolutely untrue. The statement was that I said that we had to rush the project, something to the effect of I said that we had to rush the project, and that I had made this statement while touring the school with Bob Loeb, and that you heard the statement. Everything that you said was absolutely untrue. You slandered me publicly, and at this time I would like a public apology.
At this time, I will not give you a public apology because what I said was true.
Then you better be prepared to back that up, Mr. Snell, because I'm calling you a liar.
Well, I'm telling you, I'm not a liar.
Then you better be prepared to back it up.
Mr. Loeb and yourself toured the building project, and in your conversations, you made the statement that the old board, including yourself, knew you had to rush the project after the primaries because you did not, and your exact words were, we did not want to be stuck with an old building.
Okay, Mr. Snell, I don't know about your state of mind. That was never said. Bob Loeb, I don't like to bring you into this. Absolutely, I don't like to. Did you and I ever tour the school together?
Mr. Snell, can I put into the record that was occurring on May 26th at 4 o'clock in the afternoon?
Bob Loeb, did you and I ever tour the school together?
I don't recall, other than before a school board meeting, we walked from the executive session down here. Is that what happened?
I have no idea what Mr. Snell is
Because
talking about.
I never came here and toured the building with you, other than going from down in executive session into the auditorium here.
Yes, we probably,
The construction project.
as
Not-
board
not the
members,
school here.
we probably did walk down the hall together after executive session, as we oftentimes have all walked together. At no time did I ever make such a statement. At no time did Mr. Logan and I ever tour the building together. Mr. Snell, your statement is an absolute lie. I want a public apology, and I'm calling you out in public. You are lying.
I'm sorry, but I will not be
Well-
giving you a public apology.
Okay,
Just to set the record straight, he's implying that you walked down the hall after the executive session. This occurred at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm not aware of any executive session that occurred at that time on May 26th.
and I don't know what Mr. McCleary is talking about either. I have
That's
no,
the date.
I have no
That's the date
idea.
that it happened, Mr. Ruff.
I have no idea. Ron Snell, you better produce some solid evidence, otherwise you have slandered me in public. And you have attributed statements to me that I did not make. You better be prepared to back them up.
I am, sir.
And I'm calling you a liar in a public meeting.
Mr. Ruffin, you've called Mr. Hagermeyer an idiot. You've called Mr. Landon corrupt. You produced no evidence whatsoever that says that Mr. Landon is corrupt.
We'll get into that a little bit about
That's
Mr.
fine.
Landon.
Okay.
Okay, we'll get into that.
At this time, we'll move to the prior presentation period.
Wait, Mr. Snell, could I just get a final answer from Mr. Loeb? Is that he does not remember on May 26th at 4 o'clock in the afternoon being with Mr. Ruffing and Mr. Dick Kastner and was touring the grounds?
No,
You don't remember that?
I don't recall it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Snell and Mr. McCleary, I got to give you credit for how hard you two tried to get something on me. You're really working it.
This time, could Pastor Keith Bobwell from the Northway Presbyterian Church come forward?
Thank you, sir. I'd like to, on behalf of the Montoursville Mysterium, I'd like to thank the school board for allowing me to be here today. I'd like to thank the school board as well as the administration, teachers, and staff of our wonderful schools for all that they do to provide a quality education to the students of our district. I have 3 children that are currently in the school district and 1 that will be in a few years. And I think it's a great district, and I pray that it continues to move in that direction of continuing to be a great school district. At this time, I'd like to offer a prayer for the board, if that would be all right. Loving and gracious God, you are indeed the giver of all good gifts, and we thank you today for all your blessings. We especially thank you for the school board, administrators, teachers, and staff who seek to provide for the education of the children of our school district. We ask that you bless them abundantly, and we continue to seek your wisdom, guidance, courage, and strength. Be with the board in their deliberations and help them to be wise in the decisions they make for the good of all those who have placed their trust and confidence in their leadership. Give them insight to lead and integrity that their decisions may reflect what is right and good. Lord, we ask you to guide them and lead them that they may work together with civility and strength for the district, Lord, and seek your will so that our children can receive the education that they need and continue to be a great district, Lord. Dear Lord, grant them the humility to always seek your will in all that they do and say. All glory to you, loving God, now and always. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have one more prior presentation. Before we do that, I would like at this time to amend the agenda to include a presentation by CRA. That would be under the report of the superintendent. And now, Cheryl Wydell.
Mr. Snell, I'd like to make a comment.
If it's about,
The young lady just stood up top.
I will allow the comment, but let's remember to be respectful to the young lady.
Well, there are how many thousands of people who voted last November? And only 155 people signed this petition. The percentage is extremely low.
This time, we will move on to public comment regarding agenda items. It will be for 3 minutes per person, a maximum of a half an hour total. For anybody who would like to speak on agenda items this morning.
Dale Ulmer, 1060 Yale Road. Just a couple of items. I really don't need an answer. I just would hope that during the course of your meeting that you maybe would answer those questions when the item came up. The first one deals with the superintendent report, so that would be 6D, 1B, and C. With 1B, it's a professional employee. They're being hired as 5/9 of an employee. My question is if there was benefits also included with that, because you just listed the wage for the year. It is my understanding that professional employees, even though they may be part-time, do receive benefits. And to get a total picture of the cost, it would be nice to also see that in there. With 1C, that's a support staff position. That also is part-time. However, I do not believe their contract calls for them to receive any benefits. That may be an issue that the board would like to take up to negotiating new contracts, into the future. The other item I have, it would deal with your committee reports, and in particular, with the Building and Grounds Committee, Mr. Logue, I'm going to address this kind of to you, that perhaps you would be able to converse about this again when you would give your report. But I've been reading a lot about in the Harrisburg papers about schools, especially elementary schools, in that area having to close for a period of several days because of mold issues. About a year ago, there were allegations that we had mold out of the valley. Those allegations proved to be false. We've got a tremendous maintenance and custodial staff that do a tremendous job making sure our buildings are safe and clean. If you could just speak briefly to that, and would have someone to kind of reassure if there are any lingering doubts on the part of parents in the community, that I really think the Valley, again, is a clean and safe environment for our students and for our staff. Second item, your committee would be the natural place for any discussions about the 31 building. I know that Mrs. Johns has been appointed kind of like a point person, but as a community member, I would look for your committee to be the one where updates could be given to us on a monthly basis in terms of progress, what's going on with that building. Because I do have personal concerns that there is going to be a cost attached to that, especially looking at the winterization, keeping some sort of heat in that building, and then looking down the road, what the potential use might be. So, again, I'll be very interested in hearing reports on that. The last, and perhaps this is something that we're going to report on, but I would be very interested in hearing if there's a target date when the 3-story structure will be available for students to move in. If it's been out in the public, I just haven't seen it, and maybe Mr. Kastner.
Actually, I'll let you answer that final question.
Okay. Oh, okay. So I didn't need an answer now, Mr.
No,
Snell.
that's fine. That's
Okay.
fine. But I didn't want to cut you off and
Well, that was my last point, so I'll just turn the floor over to Dick.
Well, Dale, we're targeting it around February to try to start moving people in. And it's going to depend, it will all depend on our services that are working at that point, power-wise,
coming for the construction. My question is in regards to the old section, Old 31, and also the Lozette Valley. The numbers I've heard on the 31 are that it's going to be about $2.2 million. To keep that, I don't know what the long-term costs are for upkeep, insurance, utilities, maintenance. I know last year I heard quite a bit from the incoming board members wondering why the valley wasn't being discussed at every single meeting and why it was being ignored. Since December, I know there was maybe once we talked about doing like a planned con, but I can't remember the valley really being discussed after that. So I'm just not really sure where you're at on the valley. Of the 2.2 million we're putting towards the 31 and trying to reduce costs, I'm wondering how much of that or why that's not being put towards the valley and all of the renovations that everybody was asking for there. I'm not overly well versed in the valley. I've been in there sporadically, but not recently. I know that a lot of people and community citizens, including yourself, had expressed concern last year about the use of humidifiers and extension cords and possible mold and whatnot, which I don't know if those were true concerns or true threats, but I know there were concerns. I've not heard any mention of that since then. As far as, have you replaced all of the outlets so that there are no extension cords and put them in and gotten rid of the humidifiers like you asked the previous board to do? I've not heard of you doing that. And of that 2.2 million, I'm just wondering why we're not putting that towards the valley and towards the actual kids, or taking that 2.2 million and putting that towards putting an iPad into every child's hand, or computers and updating, or what items on the budget did we cut that that 2.2 million could be paying for that are going to the students when we have no use for this in 31. So when we're looking at these presentations, I want to know why that money is not going towards the existing needs that we have. Thank you.
Mr. Snell, do you want to respond to that about the valley, the mold? Do you want to give any response to that?
We will be talking about the later in the meeting on the valley. The money that we are saving on the high school will eventually go out to the valley. That's what this is all about, to save money so the valley gets something, Bill.
Yeah, her point was, before the election, there was an awful lot of talk about a major mold problem out of the valley. Since you've taken your seat, we haven't heard anything about a mold problem at the valley. I've been to the valley. It had very minor issues out there, like with drain hose from a dehumidifier, a couple very minor things. My point being, and her point, Mrs. Nelson's point being, there was you made a big issue out of that prior to the election. Since you have been elected, we've heard nothing about it. And I would like to say that although there was some minor mold issues out there, they were never ever what you projected them to be a year ago.
Mr. Ruffing, if you'll remember, a year ago when I toured the valley, I admitted at that time that I went up above the ceilings where I suspected to find mold. I admitted I did not find mold at that time.
Did you admit that?
I did. I did not interrupt you. Please do not interrupt me.
Okay.
I did, however, if you remember, got a book from the valley and gave it to the old board to pass around to look at to see the mold. The reason why the problem is minimized right now on the mold at the valley is because we have a great custodial staff, and before is a problem. We need money to address problems. We're trying to save money where we can on the high school to go out and help the valley. That is what this all is about.
You done?
Go ahead.
The point was that while there was some minor mold out there, and I fully agree, we have the best custodial staff, we have the best faculty, we have the best everything. But the problem was never as you projected it. You admitted yourself you didn't find the mold that you thought you'd find, although you made it very public during your campaign about the severe mold problem. Once you found that you were incorrect, you never mentioned that publicly. That was the point, okay? 2 weeks ago when the humidity was so high, I was on a tour of the high school. I can tell you about some classrooms I walked in that I couldn't wait to walk out of. I'm not trying to minimize the valley. The valley has some problems, absolutely. Has problems. There's a humidity problem out there. But it was probably much worse in the high school. That's all.
Dottie Mathers, Fairfield Township. At 6 o'clock tonight, I was watching WBRA News, and this has to do with CRA's presentation of the building project that's on the agenda. But BRE stated that the current school board informed them that the old school board lied to the public that the cost of the project was actually $2 million more. Is that true, or was that a misrepresentation by WBRE?
The project cost from the very beginning has been $38 million.
CRA, in their publications on the website, the total project cost states $36 million.
$36 million will be after the lease.
Okay, and that's understood, but that's not a lie. That's not a misinformation by the previous board.
Total cost of the project is $38 million.
I understand that, but minus the lead grant, it's 36, which is what the public will be paying.
Right.
Which is what we were told. So CRA would be lying if you're saying the old school board lied, then CRA would be lying as well.
No, CRA said it was $38 million project.
Well, I think there's some semantics here that we'll have to disagree with, but I don't think that the public was lied to.
Good evening. Paul Rinker, 1102 Chestnut Street in the borough. Was looking over the agenda items, and I see several items here, additions to the construction cost. One is a little over $8,000 to address the emergency shutdown of the Tech Ed building. What has changed in the last year that has caused us to have to change that less than a year after that building was constructed? Now, I had warned the previous board that the price they were talking about wasn't the real price. I've seen this lots of times, unfortunately, where we're told, here, this is the price of the building, and after it's approved and it's going, change after change after change comes in. Here's another one, $7,000 to provide USB capability to all projector locations. A grade school kid could take anything. We shouldn't have to add that to the project now. This is, it's not a confidence. I know they go to schools. It's trickery. You give a price that you know you can get by, and then you add stuff later. And unfortunately, this is something that most of these you don't have to approve. misestimation. They gave us a price, they said, this is what's gonna cost you, and you're gonna see this month after month after month. Additional costs, and, no, I really don't want to hear what you have to say. I know what you're gonna say, I've heard it before. Unfortunately, I've lived in several school districts, and it seems like every time I move into one, they want to build a new building, and the same thing happens. So I'm gonna stop moving, because I don't want to do the same thing. I'd like the board to check into that. I don't like being lied to. I'm sure you don't like being lied to. And,
So, no, wait, you can accuse CRA of lying to the school district, but you don't want to hear the facts. You don't want to be insulted by the facts.
I've heard the facts before. Yes, okay, tell me, what changed that we have to put $8,000 more for emergency shutdown procedures?
The way the shut-off was handled didn't satisfy the way the teaching entities in the tech center wanted to use it. One in particular, he likes to shut his things off every night. When doing that, shut off more than we wanted to shut off. We were able to rearrange things that's a minimum cost in all three of the labs by introducing new panels that have that capability built into them, and that's why we did it.
Okay, so that's something we don't need to do. How about these USB capability from churches?
That's a hard one for me to speak to. I mean, I don't know what the program was to begin with, but it was something that it was a capability that we had to have, wasn't included originally, and we had to implement that. The point I would like to make, though, if I may, if it's okay, is that the price of a project is more than just what the numbers you're talking about. There are also contingencies built into a project, and we are far below the total price of this project right now, and we're halfway through. So let's talk about it at the end of the project and see where we are.
Okay.
Right? So in the 38 million, I mean the 38 million includes more than just the construction, but part of it is administrative, and part of that is contingency. Contingency covers utilities. It's meant to cover things that either weren't thought of in the beginning, or it changes because the owner sees a different way to do something that makes sense. And while we have the personnel here, we should go ahead and do it. These are all things that we vet very carefully, and we only put them on that list when I feel like that's where we have to go. And I can tell you right now, I'm looking for 2 offsets for some of these things too.
That's fine.
Okay?
Well, in that case, then, I'm going to suggest that the board, since it's not really needed, since it's just a personal preference of one of the instructors, that we don't need to spend that $8,000.
Mr. Ricker, I think I have to agree with Dick on that one, because I think that boiled down to a safety item, wasn't it?
Well, it was a safety issue, but they needed a lot more flexibility to do what they were trying to do with the shuttle.
And
So this is a safety issue, but we didn't need it before, and we need it now.
well,
All right. You know what?
The safety issue was covered
Okay, you know
before,
what?
but it's covered a different way now. Okay?
Listen, I just like to think the safety is the first thing in the design. And if we need this for safety, we should be able to reduce the design. If we don't need it for safety, then we might want to consider not doing it. It's that simple. If it should have been in there, it should have been in there. If it doesn't need to be in there, then maybe we don't need to do it. I mean, $8,000 isn't a ton of money, but but that's fine. I'm finished. It's
far as the cost of this, Dave Schimmel, 1201 Spruce Street. As far as the cost of this project goes, it has been so well documented, and they call it 38 million. That's trickery. That's hogwash, Mr. Snell. Absolute hogwash. What about the $3.6 million of reimbursement from the state? Now we put a $40 million project. What about the other grant we get from PDE for, was it $700,000 for being lead? We're going to raise the price to $42 million. It's a net $36 million project. You're trying to pull some money out of it. You're wasting probably as much as you're pulling out of it. Don't play games.
No.
You did play games.
No.
Yes, you did. You played games with numbers. It's a net $36 million project. You're trying to reduce the cost of the district. You may, but you're increasing the cost. So don't play head games. I know better. And you're getting a blowhard on this. No, it's a net cost to the district. That's what you want to go on. It's out of our pocket. You're playing games.
Sir, may I speak? May I speak?
You may.
Okay, thank you. It's a $38 million project. The LEAD grant is a LEAD grant if...
I used to manage LEAD grants for the state. I understand more than you'll ever know.
May I finish?
I don't know. I don't think I'm here because you're pulling hot air. We know about that. Yeah, we know about it.
Know about what?
The tire house.
The what?
Move on. Keep the meeting going. Gavel it out. Let's go. Let's go. No. Move.
I didn't say shut up, I said speak up.
I'd just like to say that I don't know of a person who's more of a gentleman than Ed. I don't know of a person who's more of a gentleman than Mr. Rourke. And why, as a professional person, does he have to listen to this kind of stuff? I mean, these are professional people.
Bob, I have to agree with you. A year ago, I probably would have said that.
A year ago,
But
I wouldn't have said it either, Ron,
But
but I learned a lot from last year.
Thank you, Bob.
so have I, and anybody that doubts me after the meeting can ask Mr. Rohrbach, because I confessed to Mr. Rohrbach that when I took over on this board, that I didn't trust him. But I also told him I do now because he's earned my trust. And anybody that doesn't believe I said that to the man can ask him after the meeting. This time we'll move on to action items from Mrs. Smith.
You have received copies of the treasurer's report for the period ended August 31st, 2016 for the general fund and cafeteria fund, as well as a listing of invoices for the general fund, cafeteria fund, and capital project fund for the period ending August 31st, 2016. We are submitting these to the board for your consideration for approval and payment.
Motion to approve.
Questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Number 2, Student Matters. We are requesting board approval for a waiver of tuition for the remainder of the 2016-17 school year for Jocelyn, Pam, grade 12, who attended Montoursville Area School District since first grade. This would allow Jocelyn to graduate with her classmates in June of 2016.
Move to approve.
Second.
17, that is typographical error. 17.
Questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Numbers 3, 4, there are no curriculum or policy matters. Numbers 5, there are no conference requests of the board. There are other conference requests listed under B for festival and or tournament participation.
Motion to approve.
Questions or comments? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
Under miscellaneous matters, 6A, recommend board approval of an agreement between the YMCA Child Care Services and Montoursville Area School District for the 2016-17 school year, and the attachment is enclosed.
Motion to approve. Questions or comments?
Can I make one comment? This is for Lowestoft Valley only. Could maybe, unless there's a program already impacted later, there is, could that be expanded to some later school?
I certainly can reach out to the YMCA and see if there is a program that they would like to expand and use that later. Yes. Under 6B, recommend board approval. I'm so
Yep.
sorry, you gave the motion.
We got the motion in a second. We need a vote. Any more questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
6B, recommend board approval for the acceptance of a grant from First Community Foundation Partnership in the amount of $558. These funds will be applied toward technology for students in autistic support programs.
Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Would you prefer to go to the supplement so that we can continue forward with personnel? Okay. On the supplement, B, 1, C, and D. Do we have a motion, please?
Motion to approve 1, C, and D.
Yes, please.
Move to approve. Second. Questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
6, miscellaneous matters. Recommend board approval of an agreement between Lycoming Clinton Joiner Board, is that the right word? Joiner Board and Montoursville Area School District for the Student Assistance Program for the 16-17 school year, and attachments are enclosed.
Motion to approve.
Questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
D, recommend board approval of an additional amount of $16,919. The Farfield Company to perform the work described in supplemental drawings M12 and M13 issued by Pyramid Engineering, which includes rerouting line sets for 3 split system
said, as part of that process, that they would be brought before the board.
Right, okay.
So,
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
F, recommend board approval of an additional amount of $5,363 to add an additional electrical panel to the existing building in accordance with ASI 24 and Lecce change letter 4, item number 7.
Move to approve.
Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
G, recommend board approval of an additional amount of $7,030 to provide USB capability at all projector locations as described in Lecce change letter 4, item 8.
Motion to approve.
Second. Questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
H, recommend board approval of an additional amount of $2,026.89 covering an upgrade for the ceiling material installed in team rooms and associated corridor as described in LOBAR COR 53.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Questions or comments?
David, that's what's in the locker rooms, correct?
it's in the team rooms, okay? Doesn't anybody want to hear what happened?
Sure.
Okay. The team rooms were supposed to not get new ceilings and old ceilings were taken out, just like the locker rooms, if you were to walk into those now. But the ceiling and prop storage room did receive a new ceiling. It turned out that it was a concealed condition where once we took the ceilings out of the team rooms, we realized that not all the walls extended to the deck. So in order to make it so that there's privacy between guys and girls and the corridor and the girls, we swapped the ceiling and prop storage for the team rooms. Team rooms were just supposed to get painted, ceilings and structure, that's in the ceiling and prop storage right now. We have ceilings in the other, but it was about 300 square feet larger area. And we actually upgraded to a material that's more suitable in the team rooms versus the ceiling rooms.
The contingency fund, is that applicable to these items?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
So now it's down to local effort to a $32,400,000 policy or project. Your borrowing, because of the way the state reimburses, will have to include the 3.6 that you get back from the state because of how they pay you. But the cost of the project, local dollars, is based on a $32,400,000 project. And we will update that so you see those numbers in printed format for future meetings, along with any changes made. The other thing I'd like to point out, these items that we just approved tonight are part of the contingency in the project. The contingency required by the state, and a prudent thing for a school district to do, it is required by the state anyway, under Plan Con, this project, and this is from memory, so if I'm stating this wrong, I will correct it in the written document. I believe the contingency for this project in your Plan Con documents is around $700,000. So the items that you approved tonight come out of the contingency slot in your Plan Con documents. Those changes that happen during construction are not in addition to the cost of the project. They're all within the original $38 million project. So I think it's important that we will do that monthly update. The other thing that I'd like to state for the community to understand, the $2.2 million number that's floating around, I believe is a number for Old 31. I believe that number is based on an estimate that we put together a long time back of what it would cost to turn 31 into educational space. And as long as it's standing in the future, if something happens, you have growth, or you have growth of program, or you have a related sister program at the college, and you want to turn it into educational space, the estimate we gave at that time was $2.2 million. The cost to maintain, once you move the students out to 31, which will happen when the classroom wing is finished, we have in the project already, not an additional cost of the project, is money to backfeed from now the new heating system into that system to maintain 31 in its current condition. So if you look at those classrooms now, those students come out, the heating system will be converted to a system that will maintain a temperature in there, not of 70 degrees, but a temperature in the 50-degree range, because it's no use you spend more money on an unoccupied space to heat it to the 70-degree area, but to keep that, to maintain the building so it doesn't deteriorate. So the cost to do that is zero. That is in the efforts that we have been going through for the last year. So that is not, it doesn't take $200,000 or $2.2 million to do something with 31 unless you occupy. Okay. That being said, what I'd like to do is give the community and the school district, school board, administration, an update on where we stand right now on cost reduction. And I know that this is probably hard for the people in the audience to read, so what I will do is read through these items briefly. The top line is cost reductions that have been approved by the school board to date. The total of that number is, to date, has been approved $1,584,933.97. The cost estimate that we told the school board that we thought could be achieved with those cost savings was $1,494,585. So we are slightly better than we thought. Those items include saving 1931 building without any additional work to it other than maintaining the space so that you don't have to put any money into it once you move the students out. Some site fencing changes. It included concrete moisture vapor barrier change, a change in the press box filming platform was eliminated. The elimination of return air ducts, we went to a plenum system. we went to manual flush valves in lieu of automatic flush valves. We did the build-up roofing in lieu of the TPA roofing from, TPA roofing is what we went to in lieu of build-up. We changed the quartz composite tile, 2 quartz composite tile instead of the terrazzo tile. We eliminated some painting in storage and mechanical rooms, reduced scope of work on the stage rigging, replaced, sorry, I'm having trouble reading this. Replace the stone at the main entrance, reduction of the DEC controls, abandoned existing underground utilities in place rather than removing them, eliminated temporary underground electrical service. We actually went to an overhead electrical service as temporary service, eliminated the final cleaning. Once the contractors clean the building, your staff has to clean them anyway. That was a savings to eliminate that. We replaced the VCT tile and epoxy paint with sealed concrete in the auditorium, product that's low maintenance. Replaced the stone on the ticket booth with brick, and we eliminated the ticket booth signage. Those are the cost items that were accepted by the school board for a total savings of $1,584,933.97. There were other cost items. The board, if you remember back a year or more ago now, the goal was to try to come up with a $2 million of savings items. We actually came up with $1,984,667 of potential savings total. The board elected not to take the cost reduction items that included the stadium entrance, quarry tile in the locker rooms, reduced scope of food service equipment, another roofing item that was not pursued, replacement of stone in the main entrance, transfer air duct modifications were not taken, auditorium diffuser modification, eliminating of retractable bleachers was not taken, eliminating of clouds in the common areas and acoustical deck was not taken, replacing the kitchen flooring quarry tile with sealed concrete was not taken, replace the walk-in quarry tile flooring with diamond plate was not taken, diamond plate with a metal flooring in the walk-in doors. The purchase of library furniture was not taken, reduction in the purchase of library furniture, and the replacement of stone at the ticket booth, eliminating the sloped roof, was not taken. So the items not taken total $314,895. Okay, the pending items we have, and I'm going to go to the bottom two first. The pending items we still have for consideration are eliminating the bedroom flooring and to reuse existing. This is an item that has been extensively discussed with the high school building administration, the principal, and your phys ed teachers, and they would like to maintain the existing flooring, and we are still holding that one open. The other one is a revised stage flooring material, and we would also like to hold that one open. The value of those two items is $6,700. Those are the only two items that we are recommending we hold open. The other item that has still been out pending, that has been discussed back and forth in the board meetings, I know the community is very aware of, is the portion of the project, or the new look at the project called Scenario 2B. That scenario included the elimination of most of the new construction to create the band and music room, moving those and the practice areas into to what was proposed in the original project to be the auxiliary gym. So the loss in this would have been the auxiliary gym, but you still had all of the educational programs identified in your educational program developed for the project, at the beginning of the project. The estimate that we had for that, based on our cost estimate and the cost estimates that we worked with the contractors on at the beginning of the project, we thought that we could save as much as $500,000 by eliminating that building addition that occurred for the music. In reality, once the pricing all came in from the contractors, and the contractors saw the complexity of what it would take to move that space internal, the savings for that comes down to only $78,138.05. So what we are recommending, here's the briefing of that. What we are recommending today is that the board's action to clarify this with the contractors would be to not accept the change order proposals for scenario 2. We just don't feel that the value is there if this is accepted. It's not enough of the savings. It turned out to be much more complicated than anticipated, moving this space internally and trying to keep the sound transmission from band and choral from getting into the rest of the building. So, to give you a summary, and this will again now appear in our monthly reports, the cost reductions that were presented to the board and considered by the board totaled $1,984,667. The board accepted cost reductions of $1,584,933. The cost of identifying, pursuing, doing the drawings and specifications, and getting the pricing from contractors to determine these cost savings, the school district did incur additional engineering and architectural fees of $120,633. So the net savings to the school district is $1,464,300. Now, let me add a few other comments to that. That net savings, in achieving this, the board had given us several goals at the beginning. First goal from the whole board and administration was we could not affect the educational program. Okay, we've achieved this, and if the board votes tonight to not accept this $78,000 credit, you will have built 100% of the educational program, including the auxiliary gym, and you will have saved $1,464,300. The only thing that you have not built were the proposed additions and renovations for the district office space. So I think it's been a win for the community. You've saved money. That money, the board has continued to earmark for improvements out of the valley. Can I answer any questions?
Yes. And Doug, I'm going to ask these questions not because I don't know the answer, but because I want the public to know the answer and them answers. I think we've already answered from the very beginning, and it's correct to say it's a $38 million project. Right?
That's correct.
Could you explain why the plan document showed the total project cost of $36,535,637?
Okay, because as we have gone through the change order process, change orders aren't always a bad thing. Some change orders reduce costs. This cost reduction all appears as a change order that we report to the state. So as this has been reported to the state, Jim Vogel, who's the architect for the Department of Education, actually pencils in, but adjusts your documents. so that he has an accurate, ongoing, running accounting of the cost of the project.
And while we're talking about Jim Bogo, could you share with the audience here and what conversation you had with Jim Bogo?
Yes, about 3 weeks ago, I was invited as part of a group of educators and people who provide services to the school district. They invited a couple of architects, a couple of investment bankers, and attorneys who provide advice to school districts to a symposium to talk about how PSDA could recommend to the state improvements to PlanCon without abandoning PlanCon, and something that would be fair to taxpayers and to students and school districts alike. Jim Vogel participated in that, and in one of our breakaway sessions, Jim commented to me that Montoursville has been a very unique project for him in his career. He said that he is used to seeing a school project bid, start construction, and then as the project continues on through construction, he's adjusting the numbers upward of PlanCon. And he has to keep track of that as well, because no matter what your bid is, it's your final cost that has to come in under Act 34, what's known in the states as the Taj Mahal Act. And he said that this is one of the only projects, the only one he can remember of his time, where a project starts at $38 million, and he says you're halfway through construction, and he said, because he does not see the fees you pay to us, he sees the 1.5 million, and he said, you're down $1.5 million, and he said, in every change, he said, I verify that you are meeting the educational program, and you're meeting all the other requirements of the state under PlanCon. So that everything you're doing is their minimum is a 20-year. This is certainly designed to last more than 20 years. So the other thing he's reported to me is that we have reduced this amount and we have not affected your reimbursement. So the reimbursement that you were to get for the $3.8 million or a $38 million project, the $3.6 million is still fully intact.
You've already reported that the board has not accepted every cost-saving change that you come up with. Why not?
Well, there was a couple of things in here. When we look at the cost savings, you look at the total dollar, and then what is there a trade-off for? And what we were trying to do was to have things that didn't have a trade-off that had a negative effect on the school district. And I guess a great one of those is changing from the terrazzo to the quartz tile. Same amount of maintenance. So we didn't go from something that cost $27 a square foot to something that cost $16 a square foot, but then you have more maintenance. The same thing with the stained concrete in the auditorium. So some of the items that we came back with, we felt in the end didn't offer an equal opportunity to maintain it. The other thing that was key was if it wasn't of dollar value. In other words, if the numbers, such as scenario 2B, if the numbers didn't match what we felt it was worth closely, we didn't recommend it. And that's why you see here that if you look at the sheet that I passed out to the board, the savings estimate that we had was 1.4 million, or 1,494,000, and we saved 1,584,000 in those top items that were saved. In the bottom items, where we thought there should have been $500,000 in savings, and they only totaled $314,000 worth of savings, the recommendation was that the board would not accept them, and the board did not accept them. They also didn't accept things that after they saw the price and saw the impact it would have on just the campus and operations, they determined not to accept those items. So in the end, I think this has been a long process, but I think it's been a good process.
How did CRA come up with the $400 to $500,000 savings by deleting the auxiliary gym, and why are those savings not being recognized?
We use the same process we did for the other cost estimates. We use the G8s that we get from the contractor after bidding. It gives us a breakdown of cost. So we use those costs in order to develop the cost savings. Our estimate I believe that estimate is $500,000. Then we also talked to the contractors that are on site. And the contractors on site, looking at it first blush, felt that the savings were actually more than that. They thought the savings were going to be in the $600,000 range. The reality of it was, though, that without the competitive bidding factor and what contractors saw after they really analyzed the work they had to do, that the cost savings just was not going to be there.
Doug, how long has CRA been in business?
32 years on July 1st.
How many school projects?
Numbers probably well over 400 projects. In dollar value, since in the last 20 years, we average in the range of $300 million a year in school construction in the last 20 years. So,
Any of the school projects you've ever been on, have contractors ever reacted like this when cost-saving change orders?
well, they haven't, but I will tell you that this has been the most involved cost-saving effort that we've ever gone into. And obviously the Jim Vogel, who sees every school district's things, confirmed that. He's never seen it. So we have never seen it on smaller items like this, but it is complicated. I think that everyone should know, and I think if you look at what's happened so far in the projects, quality of construction has been very good. Cooperation has been extremely good. I know there's some concern about having students in the building that's being renovated, but the general contractor who's responsible for site safety has a very strong safety program, and they don't want to see a student injured. So we haven't seen it, but then again, we have also not been in this large of an endeavor. I think the district was right to go after it because we still, if this had come in at $400,000 or $500,000 of savings, I think that our recommendation would probably be different. But and the auxiliary gym was never part of the original ed specs of the building. It was nice to have, but it wasn't needed for your academic program. I think that now that the $78,000, it makes no sense to not have that gym for your extracurricular activities.
Doug, how serious were the codes violation in the 1931 section, and did they ever put the students in danger?
Actually, those violations were not code violations that relate to the building construction as much as they were code violations that relate to property management. So the violations really did not put students in any type of immediate danger for anything. And they were addressed by the school district very quickly. But no, in fact, the code officer who went through, and we've had a variety, we've not just had one person all the time, because we're looking at different things between the building code and then the property management codes, how you manage the property. By his licensing, codes have changed. And building management codes actually didn't even exist when this building was built. They didn't exist. They didn't exist when high school was built, building management codes.
My last question to you, Doug, is, for myself anyway, my last question. Do you feel that this board acted in a timely manner to ensure the students' safety was not jeopardized?
With respect to the building codes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Doug, can I ask you some questions? Sure. The confusion, I can see where the confusion is on the 38 and 36 million. I'm referring to, oh, by the way, you've done $3.5 billion worth of business. What do you mean, Doug?
Okay.
The one book I'm referring to is put out by CRA, and it's very clear that it was a $38 billion project. However, if you look at the Act 44 here, okay, I can see where the confusion is. Be it resolved that the Board of School Directors of Montreursville Area School District approves the maximum building cost and the maximum project cost listed below, which is $36 million. Okay, you do have a credit here for the plan con. Now this says it's an estimate. I think you said 3.6. This is